Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to this session with Glossier, which is a brand that was founded in 2014, and it's a beauty brand that was one of the first to sell directly to its customers online. And a cornerstone of the success is the incredible customer support and engagement. They have a vibrant community, which is sometimes referred to by media as a cult following, because fast and personalized responses on all its online channels are reinforcing loyalty and trust. And in this next session, we're going to meet the company's Amy Kemp. Now, interestingly, Amy worked in medical education for over a decade and then pivoted to e-commerce, which gives her a unique perspective. And in her current role at Glossier, she supports both the digital and physical customer experience. Amy's joined on stage by Neil Forrest from customer support app Gorgias. Neil has worked in e-commerce and digital for 10 years. He's a serial entrepreneur. He co-founded a fintech company in Scotland that was acquired last year. He also founded his own e-commerce brand. He produces and manufactures scarves made of 100% wool in Scotland. And he specialized in Shopify Plus and became a true evangelist for customer experience. Now, he used Gorgias as a customer first and then switched to work for Gorgias in 2022. And in this session, Neil and Amy will unveil the customer experience playbook of Glossier. Please welcome Amy and Neil.
What to do here. There we go. Thank you for the introduction. That was far too, kind. And thank you everybody for being here. I know there's lots of great talks happening, so it means a lot that you've joined me and Amy here. I've already been introduced, but Amy, there's been a bit of introduction already. Is there anything that you want to add? And for those who have been living under a rock, do you want to introduce Glossier as well?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Glossier is a brand that makes skincare and makeup, skincare first, makeup second, really kind of founded around this idea of community. So Glossier was born from a blog called Into the Gloss, which really focused on kind of cool influential people's top shelf in their medicine cabinet. So what they were using in order to achieve their beauty routines. And then it was from the commentary on that blog that really designated and designed those kind of first products. And it's that community voice to this day that continues to really guide what we do as a company.
Nice one, thank you. And understand that you were here to talk about customer experience, but you haven't always worked in customer experience. So tell us about your journey into CX. What have you done previously?
Definitely. So I feel like this might be like a very American experience, but I went to a very small liberal arts college where I was told often, wow, you're so unique, your ideas are so creative, you're so smart. And then I went and worked in the New York City restaurant industry where nobody really cared about what I thought about anything. They were just like, go, go, go. I knew that wasn't really kind of what my long-term home was going to be, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so the first kind of exciting opportunity that came my way was to work at a startup in medical education. So the company had two folds, one which helped medical students do well on medical licensure exams, so specific, and then a second arm that worked with medical schools to design curriculum. I was there for about 10 years, classic startup, fourth person hired, went over to be 150 people, and designed that customer experience element, and then really worked in operations for a lot of that journey. And kind of like in early COVID, when we were all kind of taking a look at our lives, life was slowing down, I was like, okay, like what else would you want to do with your life? And I was like, well, I love shopping, so maybe I'll work in e-commerce. And here I am.
Great. I mean, there's no better reason to work in e-commerce,
yeah.
Right? We're all customers, so hopefully we know what we're talking about.
I'm a customer.
Yeah. So I think we all experience challenges working in e-commerce. We know that particularly right now. What's the biggest CX challenge that you and your team are facing at the moment, and how are you thinking about solving it?
So I'd say it's kind of twofold. One is like, how can we get back to every single contact as quickly as possible? But really specifically through the lens of what is going to be the best experience for our customer, what is going to be the best thing for building our brand, and then also what is going to be kind of the best experience for our employees who are part of creating this, and really trying to look at that problem through those lenses. So I think to give a recent example, AI, I think anyone who works in customer experience, we were talking about this earlier, I feel like over the past year and a half, there's this tremendous amount of pressure. It's like, you need to use AI, it's the best thing. And actually like 50%, 40%, 30% of your tickets need to be automated via AI. And I almost found myself kind of like working backwards, like, okay, we have to hit this percentage, like, here's some AI math, like if we move this contact reason and this contact reason, then, and then it was like, what are we doing? Like, what is the best customer experience? So kind of the first thought was like, what is the most kind of timely important thing? If someone needs to cancel their order, right? Or they need to change their address. Like, personally, anytime I move, I'm always like, for like a year, I'm like sending the packages to the wrong place. So if someone emails us and we have like that short window before that order gets dropped to the warehouse, like we have to respond to that person to help them cancel, change their address, et cetera, et cetera. That is a great use case for our AI.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you mind me asking like how short that window is?
For Glossier, it's an hour. So like it's really like we got to get to that ticket. And like, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like full disclosure, we're not going to get to every ticket in an hour. So AI, perfect use case for cancel change order requests. And then when we think about it again through kind of like the customer experience, that's when the customer wants a fast response. Yes, checking that box, right? For the business, like that is, again, the right approach, right? We're giving the customer what they want. It's cost effective for the company. And, also we're going to prevent an escalation, right? When we didn't get back to this person in time and now we're like sending them a replacement order, right? So that's like additional expense we're saving. And then the third piece is now my team isn't spending time doing cancel order requests, and they can spend that time doing something that's meaningful to their experience, like responding to a customer who had a great time in our retail store and like wanted to reach out and tell us about how we like made their birthday, and like now we're really having this amazing moment of connection. So getting back to everyone as quickly as possible, but really through that lens.
Nice one. That's really interesting. Also, being able to get back to people and make actual changes within orders within an hour.
Yeah.
During peak times is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, and that's again, that's where, in my opinion, AI really makes sense.
Yeah, nice one. Okay, so I have a note here in my questions that I was going to like try and like explain a story that I was told a while ago when I first like joined e-commerce, and I hope I get this right. But it was like basically I was told about these two bookstores, right? One bookstore, the owner would really actively recommend books to her customers when they came through the door. She would be like, "Oh, this is the flavor of the month. This is what you want." And then the other bookstore was like, she would very quietly and subtly rearrange books on the shelf and take a step back and not really say much. And then what's it called? The meaning of the story was that sometimes the best experiences. Oh yeah, sorry, I missed the key part. The bookstore that did like the sort of more subtle stuff stole all the customers from the one that was like constantly pushing just their own agenda. And it got me thinking about like how most strategies, or some strategies, often the best experiences are unseen or unobvious, and that we might not necessarily be aware of. So the question that I'm getting to is, what is an unobvious strategy that you have implemented basically to improve the online customer experience?
So I don't know if this is an unobvious solution, but it's definitely something to always think about. I think part of what makes customer experience so important is, this is a grim expression, but we're kind of like the canary in the coal mine. Like, if there's something wrong, like we're probably going to hear about it first. And so sometimes we become kind of like a deposit for like so much customer data, it's really hard to understand like what is actionable and like what is not actionable, or like what's a priority. It's hard to know what the priorities are, which I feel like is the theme that everybody has kind of talked on today. So something that I would always suggest is, for example, like when looking at NPS data, do kind of like a cross analysis where you look at like your detractors and then look at retention. Like, it's less about volume and more like volume, and is this the reason why someone's not coming and shopping with you again, or are they giving you this feedback but they're continuing to shop? And really having that conversation be the like analysis you make decisions on. To give an example, like I work very closely with our retail teams and their NPS. Like feedback will get sometimes. I don't know if anyone's been to a Glossier store, but it's a very unique retail experience. We don't have a cash register. If you want to purchase something, everybody who works there has an iPad. So you have to approach someone who works there and be like, hey, I'd like this, and then they go in the back and they get it and they bring it. So sometimes people will detract and say like, I don't like that. You know, like I want to be able to go to a cash register. Even if we decided, like, you're right, that's not the right fit for our model anymore, like, it would be, if you look at the kind of, like, impact by effort access, which is something I'm thinking about constantly, it's not there, right? Because we'd have to, like, get a construction crew to come in and, like, build the facility and, like, get the technology and retrain the teams. Like, it's not worth it. But when we looked at that data and we did that cross-analysis, it was a much smaller people detract because they got the wrong item or they're missing an item from their order, but those people don't shop again. Because understandably, like I'd be frustrated, like you're passing through town, you're missing an item, you're never gonna have that. And it's a very easy fix in our end, which we did, to either train our retail teams, which we did, on like how to use Gorgias, because Gorgias is incredibly easy to use.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean that. And so we can now have the store, we get an NPS survey, that's the detractor, the retail team can take that, they can follow up, they can send the customer that item, or vice versa, our digital team can follow up with that customer. And now we've also formed a digital relationship with that customer. We're gonna retain them because we're doing the best customer experience, and we've used minimal effort to get maximum impact.
Yeah, okay, I love that. It also just got me thinking, is there like an element of, if you don't have a cash register in a physical store, does that allow you to do more with that space? In other words, have more product available to a customer that would otherwise have been taken up by bulky technology?
I think part of the, again, I don't fully work in the retail team, so please defer to them, but I think part of it is like we wanted to have that experience of interacting with customers and being like, how was your experience?
Okay,
like,
so it's like a real...
Yeah.
Like experience-driven decision.
Yeah, or like, I wouldn't consider myself a shy person, but like every time I go into a Sephora, I'm like, I've never known the color of my skin ever. Like, how am I supposed to pick like which flavor of coffee my skin is in this concealer? It's like by having, like that interaction, we call them editors in our store, with the editor, like you're getting that opportunity to be like, actually, like I do want concealer. Like I'm feeling kind of shy. Like, can you help me find a shade? Also, for sanitary reasons, everything on the floor is a tester. And so this system also allows us to have like all of the fresh product in the back. So like when we give you your order, no one's ever breathed on it.
Very interesting. Good insight, thank you. Yeah, it's great. Quick rapid fire question and answer. What are the KPIs that you focus on?
Okay.
And what KPIs do you think are not worth focusing on?
Okay, so what do I focus on? Average first response time, which I guess got rebranded as first response time. Yeah, wow, big change. That one matters to me a lot. Handle time, and again, incredibly important. I love to look like, again, handle time by like ticket type. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why is this taking this time isn't taking this? One-touch tickets, and then I'm kind of obsessed with NPS, I will say. And then this is a really spicy take, but Alex, your CTO, also said this, so I feel like I can also say this. Okay. I don't like CSAT. I think CSAT just tells you, like, did you do what the customer wanted you to do? Yes, no, not like, did we give the person the best experience we're capable of giving? So
is there something that you would, if you're not focusing on CSAT, I know you mentioned NPS, but is there another way?
QA.
Okay.
That's really what it comes down to for me, QA.
Gotcha, thank you very much. Okay, so I think we've all worked in e-com for a bit. We all try things, we all test and analyze, and we all try things that sometimes don't work. Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of a time that you tried something and it simply hasn't worked?
Yeah, no, this one was all me. Truly. So I'm kind of obsessed with NPS, as you mentioned. Earlier this year, we moved survey tools. And so then I was like, oh, we're changing our survey tool. Like, let's look at everything in this journey. And I've become a little bit obsessed. So I've been very focused on response rate. And part of that, right, is like the email that you send, the like request to fill out your NPS survey. And I literally went back through 10 years of my personal email account, and I looked at every single NPS survey I've been sent. Like, I really went down the rabbit hole. And because it was really top of my brain, the requests that really resonated with me were the ones that were like, hi, my name is Amy, I work at Glossier, I read every single one of these surveys, please fill this out. Like, it would really mean a lot to me. We're a small team, like, thank you so much for your time. And so I put together this, like, incredibly personal, like, I implore you, if you do anything today, fill out my NPS survey. And then I love an A/B test. So we did an A/B test where we sent out that copy with the survey, shout out to Clavio. And then we did, a 2-sentence email. I think our copy team, probably put together in between, like, one task and another task. And oh man, did that email outperform like what I really poured my heart and soul into in terms of getting click rate and response rate. So you may feel like you know what's going on, but sometimes we're just like, we've been thinking about something too long, and A/B test.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. There was something you said there that I was going to ask about. It was like off-piste, and now I've forgotten. If I remember, I'll come back to it.
I'll be here.
So obviously, a big topic of the day and of the whole conference really is unified commerce. Mm-hmm. So particularly within the e-commerce and Shopify markets at the moment, can you explain how the Shopify ecosystem has helped Glossier from a CX perspective? Or feel free to go wider than CX if you wish.
Yeah, so just the move to Shopify predates me at Glossier, so shout out to everyone who really spent a lot of time making that come together. I think from my CX perspective, people, like most brands, use Shopify, right? So it's like, we know what the rules are, it doesn't, I'm currently obsessed with this dye bath, fabric dye bath. You can send your old bedding there and they dye it for you, and then you're like, wow, my sheets, they're beautiful, but they're old, yay. And they're a tiny, tiny, tiny company. They use Shopify. And so I think for the customer, right, it's like, they get there, they feel safe, they know how it works, they can use Shop Pay. It just removes one more kind of barrier.
Yeah, nice. Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. And you're working in CX. You and your team often bear the brunt of complaints and the not so nice side of customer service. How do you balance meeting business objectives and providing fair customer service in those instances?
I don't think those things are diametrically opposed at all. I think in today's marketplace, I think a lot of companies are competing on customer service, right? It's if you have, I wouldn't even say fair, good, great, kind of customer experience, customer service policies, then you're giving people a reason to shop with your brand, and vice versa, right?
It's a differentiator.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I always try to kind of keep in my noggin when I'm thinking about kind of policy is, one, you have to size things before you kind of make decisions. What I mean by that, particularly with CX, is per your point, oftentimes my team will be like, I just spoke to 2 people, they had the worst experience, 19 things happened in a row that really have made this order, basically go to a different continent and then come back again. And my first question always, what's the scope? How many people has this impacted? And if it's not that many, it's again, the impact and the effort ratio, it doesn't really make sense. I will also share, I try to do an hour of tickets a week just to make sure I'm in the loop. The second I start doing tickets, I'm like, you guys, I just spoke to this woman, she had this crazy thing happen, we have to do something. So I think it's just really important to take a step back, really size the issue. I think again, understand what that kind of impact to effort ratio is going to be. And then 2, again, really look at things by where am I gonna have the biggest impact in terms of that effort? Going back to kind of NPS results, I have found when I look at my kind of e-commerce NPS data, people who have a poor time with customer service are kind of the least likely people to come back and shop. And we did a lot of kind of AI analysis to understand why that is, but it's kind of obvious. If someone's interacting with your customer experience team, your customer service team, something bad has already happened. And so that to happen, and then for them to then have a poor experience with your customer service, why would someone then come back? So I think that the kind of customer experience is incredibly important to retention for a lot of reasons.
I completely agree. And I mean, CX sits at the heart of like data gathering from customers as well. So I mean, what I was going to move on to is, how you work cross-functionally in Glossier with other teams, and how your CX team and the data that you collect impacts those other teams and the direction of the business. Can you just tell us about that?
Totally. I would say like I'm very data-driven. That's very important to me. Kind of my favorite part, I went to CX Connect, the Gorgias conference in June, and a lot of people were like, maybe it's like not their favorite part of the job to like get somebody else who has control over the problem, like excited about finding the solution. I kind of think that's like the most fun part, to be like, whoa, there's a clear pattern here. I can't wait to ruin this person's day by being like, this is what we got to focus on, guys, and get them really excited about that issue too. I think like a recent example that comes to mind is, I think communicating like shipping timelines is so critical to people feeling excited about purchasing your product from you, and it's a hard thing to do when like the customer desire, right, is to like get that package as quickly as possible. And now that we ship globally, we work with like a lot of different carriers. Some of them are quite small. Not all of them have native integrations with Shopify, and so like it can be very hard to get some people kind of timely and accurate data. And so, took that to our tech team, and they were like, we agree, this is an incredible project. It's gonna be really hard. It's not more important than, making sure all of our like Black Friday deals, like we can slot this work at this point in time, and understanding like, okay, that's like the best solution. It's gonna happen, but it can't happen right now. And then being like, in the interim, like what can I control? Well, I can partner with our CRM team, and we can work on copy to really make sure where we can implement something immediately, like we're getting as close as possible to like kind of making that more clear.
Yeah, very interesting. I also love that you mentioned a couple of minutes ago that you still do like an hour of tickets, and you're like very much in the weeds, and that is one of the trends that I've noticed with like the best CX leaders, is that they still get in there and answer tickets. Even like I see a lot of founders of big brands who will go in and spend time in the customer service. Yeah, so. And
I'm a really bad CX agent. I cherry pick. I'm like, oh, that looks hard. I'm gonna skip it. But I agree. It's a really important practice.
I mean, that kind of leads on to my next question. You can skip the hard stuff and leave that for your team that you've built. And over the years, you've built some good teams. So tell us, like, what's it like hiring people? What qualities should other brands who are scaling and hiring CX teams, what should they look for? And what is your favorite interview question?
So this is for those of you who work in e-commerce. I'm about to say something crazy. I have actually done very little hiring at Glossier because most of our CX team has worked there for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, which is unheard of for CX. And they are truly incredible. I will say I've done a little bit of hiring in Glossier, and I've done a lot of hiring in my career. I think things that are very important to ask are, what works for you in a manager? Like, what do you need to be successful? Because I think I'm aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, and I think it's important for me to like ask myself in that process, like, am I the right person to really help this person be successful? And sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah, good. So about finding the right fit for you and for them.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. So finally, what's next for Glossier? Is there anything that you can share? Any like behind the scenes information, like exclusive access for the next Commerce Summit?
Well, this is the most exciting time of the year for e-commerce, so subscribe to our email.
Okay, that's it. You hear that? Clavio, you'll be very happy. You'll get a few more sign-ups as well. Woo! Well, yeah, great. Well, I think that kind of brings us to the end, and have we got time for questions? Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
And Amy, we have an award show later. If there had been an award for the most relatable and amusing speaker, I think you would have won. Yeah. Who has a question for Amy? Yes, sorry. Coming to you. Hi again.
Hi, it's me again.
Oh, hold on. Let me just make sure. Yes, now we can.
Hello? There we go. Hi, it's me again. It's Julia from Voyato. I was actually wondering, because I know you have a store in London. I've been following Glossier for a long time. I'm half American myself. Do you have plans to open a store in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands?
Nothing that I can share. But I will say this is an interesting tidbit that you reminded me of. One of the people who has been the most supportive of our brand and continues to be the most supportive of our brand is like one of the first people to comment on every single Instagram post we do to this day is from the Netherlands.
Interesting. It's a Dutchie.
Yeah.
Is it Kelly from Ask Phil?
I don't have permission to share her handle, so I feel like kind of uncomfortable doing that. But
Kelly, can you
know who you
confirm
are?
or deny? She's like. But we cannot read in your email that you're going to open a store. You don't know yet.
Subscribe for our email.
Any more questions? Can I ask a last question, maybe? You talked about the impact-effort ratio. Was there ever something that took so little effort but had a huge impact that really surprised you, that people can learn from, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think oftentimes the simplest things have the greatest impact. To kind of build off something you said earlier as well, like making sure your macros are up to date. We have, I guess I'll like share like another fun fact about Glossier. We have a very complicated kind of CX ecosystem. So we have an internal team, which is 7 people, including myself. We also work with a BPO. For those who are not familiar, is basically kind of like a call center, but for email. And the size of that pool fluctuates depending on seasonality. And then we have a third group, which is actually a subset of our retail population, who then supports us on specific channels. And I mean, talk about unified commerce, like that is an amazing asset because they are in store with product every single day, all the time. Like they really know product, they know shade matching in a way that is hard to achieve digitally. And then for them, it's like a really great kind of career opportunity to really like expand on kind of their day-to-day job. But we have 3 different teams, 3 different skill sets, 3 different connections to the brand, and so like having a macro where it's like, oh, and then this person has to like move this sentence over here, and then this team, it's like really just making sure you're like organized and on top of it, like can boost your efficiency like crazy.
Thank you. Amy, Neil, one round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And we have again a few minutes to transition to the next round. You can see in the back what sessions you can choose from. We'll be starting again in 10 minutes.